All right, addicts, we are here and we are live with Bryan Holland from Reverence. Bryan, how you doing, brother?
Hey, I am doing well, and I really appreciate you having me on the show.
Oh, thank you, man. Thanks. Hey, now let's talk about Reverence. Now, the members of the group here, you guys are no strangers to the music scene, but can you tell us about how Reverence came together?
Well, I was in Tokyo Blade for many years and did album and live DVD and stuff with those guys, and it just wasn't working after a while. A lot of egos clashing and such, so I knew that band was kind of on its last leg, so I decided, I'm gonna split from this, and I want to build something else. And I got off the tour, came home, and it was near the holidays of late '09. And I came home just to kind of clear my head, figure out where I wanted to go, and come New Year's Eve, I decided I'd get on the net and kind of look around, see if I could find a good singer, because and somebody I could write with is optimal in the key. And I found Todd immediately, and it was one of those things where I found Todd. I listened to a demo thing that he had of his own music and stuff on his MySpace page back then. And I loved it. I quit looking. I didn't even look any further than that. Wow. And I talked to my management, and then they contacted him, and he and I talked a few days later and decided we'd put something together. So he and I started writing, and came up with several rough demos to begin with. And then I'm longtime friends with Doc Wackel's Dr. Kill Drums from Sabotage, and he and I had been actually wanted to do something for a long time, and I actually talked to him originally about joining Tokyo Blade, but they weren't heavy enough for him. So they didn't work out. But the way that Reverence's music is heavier than Tokyo Blade, and so I went back to Steve and I said, hey man, I'd really love you to be a part of it. And he listened to the demos and loved it. Well, he joined in immediately, and I went to my old friend Frank, who was the bass player of Tokyo Blade, because I love Frank to death, and I never had a problem with anything with Frank from the band. So he joined on immediately, and then we didn't have a second guitar player for quite a while, and then suggested a couple of guys, and the only guy I really talked to was Pete Rossi from Pittsburgh. And so by then, most of the writing was done with the album, and the great thing about Pete and I share a lot of the same kind of influence. I mean, Chris Oliva, we worship at the altar of Chris Oliva and Sabotage, right, and Randy Rhoads and stuff, and he and I clicked so well, and he put such really, really great texturing and layering and second guitars on some of these songs. It's really, he made some intros, like the intro to When Darkness Calls. He does that haunting kind of picking thing that's Randy Rhoads-ish.
Oh, okay.
Very Diary of a Madman kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he came up with all that, and then I came up with the heavier part on the intro. I mean, it worked out just great. Like, working with Pete was fantastic. So, I mean, that's a real quick summary of how we all got together. But it took quite a while. I mean, we were writing for probably a year and a half, before we actually were finished with our songs.
Oh, wow. Well, how'd you guys come up with the name Reverence?
The very first song Todd and I wrote was called Revolution Rising, and that's on the album. And in the lyrics, we were throwing names all over the place, just some stupid, ridiculous names that were never going to fly. But and we thought of a couple of names that were kind of good, and they still didn't stick. I mean, you throw enough money against the wall, and maybe they'll stick. But there's a line in Revolution Rising that Todd wrote the lyric to, and my wife kind of identified that, said, hey, maybe that's a good name. But the line goes something like, bow down in reverence, bow down in fear. And so she kind of picked that name out of that, and we're like, yeah, that's kind of cool,
Cool.
And then we kind of wanted something that kind of meant something, what is or something that didn't really have any meaning. And
right.
Reverence to us kind of had a meaning to us, because what we were really targeting, the sound we were looking for, that we grew up loving, that old Judas, Scorpions, that early 80s metal, kind of sound with our own kind of thing, put our own thing in there, and then modernize it slightly for 2012. And, I love, of course, early Sabotage and early Queensryche, and so that's what we were going. So the Reverence name really fit well, because we were revering, that 80s metal sound. So, I mean, that name fit and encompassed everything we were doing. So it fit. It was perfect. She couldn't have picked a better name.
Cool. Cool. Now, tell us about how you guys go about writing your songs. Is it a group effort? Is it one person? What goes on there?
Well, I usually come up with the majority of the music, if not all of the music on the songs. And for sure, the basic shell of the song and the way that's laid out. I have most of that already kind of laid down and recorded before I even hand it over to Todd. And Todd and I are the main core of the band as far as writing. So, I'll get the majority of the music done and then send it over. I'll have, finger drums on it and bass and everything on it for him. And even some, guitar soloies just to kind of throw, location for where things may lay. And I'll give him a description of how, I see things, how I think I hear them, and what this is the pre-chorus and this is the chorus, and then maybe even give him a title for what I think the sound of the music means to me. And then I'll send it over to Todd, and he'll mull that thing over for a few days or a week or two or whatever until it finally, works into him and a melody strikes, and he's writing out the lyrics and the vocal melody. He'll send it back, and we'll tweak it. We'll tweak these, the layout of the arrangement of the song, and lengthening this and shortening that. And then once we kind of got that solidified, then I'll send it over to Pete, and he'll throw in a bunch of layering. He's got his own home studio. It's a great thing if we have our own home studio, so we're throwing this stuff back and forth via the internet and via email.
Right.
And that's what it makes it really, really simple. Because then Pete can throw back his stuff to me, and it doesn't work. I'll try this, and that works great. This stuff, you don't have to sit in the same room. So we never actually sat in the same room writing anything. We all sat in our own home studios, kind of throwing stuff back and forth.
Right. Now, we were talking a little bit about the internet before, and it's been a blessing almost for bands nowadays, and it sounds like it's helped Reverence out a lot. You want to talk about that a little bit, or?
Well, we could not have ever done the things we were doing without the internet. We would have had to been sitting in the same rooms and writing the stuff out. And the problem with that is that Todd and I are 3 hours away from each other. He's in Saginaw, I'm near Kalamazoo, we're in Michigan. And then Pete's from Pittsburgh, and Doc's in North Carolina. Ned, who is also in Todd's other band, Jack Starr's Burning Star. Frank had to bow out due to some family stuff. It had nothing to do with the band members or anything. And so we brought Ned in from Todd's other band, Burning Star. So Ned's from Florida. We're kind of all over the place. So the internet is really, really something we rely on to be able to communicate and then write. And but we've gotten together. We've obviously done videos and music, photo shoots and so on. So as far as that goes, we use it extensively.
Cool. Now, you've played a lot of live shows. What are the best and the worst things about playing the shows, brother?
Oh boy, live shows. The live shows, is the only thing I worry about with live shows is my gear, just making sure everything's going to work. I've always been paranoid about that kind of thing. I don't know why. Maybe it's from younger days when I was doing the cover band thing, and I always seem to have some issues with gear or breaking strings or something. But usually, live shows are always a lot of fun. You get to feed off the audience, and I like the big festivals. I like the small clubs. They both have their advantages and disadvantages. The small shows, you kind of get in with the crowd, and they're right there in front of you and feeding off the energy. And the big crowd, with the festivals, it's the whole thing that's just so large and over-encompassing. It's a really cool feeling with that, too. So, I don't think there's anything bad about playing live.
How about the strangest gig you've ever played?
Sorry, what's that?
The strangest gig you've ever played.
We played, I wouldn't call it strange, but one of the coolest places. I'm a big World War II buff, and in Germany, in Aachen, Germany, we played an old World War II bunker, which was really cool because you'd never think that this was, any kind of venue or anything. So we pull up to this, it looks like, this big old concrete, half underground bunker, and sure enough, I'm trying to remember even what the name of it was, but it was in Aachen, Germany, and I I mean, I thought it
Cool.
was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool. That is cool. Now, first song I like to play is from your debut CD, When Darkness Calls. It's the title track. What can you tell us about the song?
I think I mentioned earlier, Pete wrote the slow intro to it, and then I wrote the heavier part and they worked together. Obviously, it was written that way. It was meant to have that kind of a haunting kind of a feel to it, and it's got this kind of tripping drum fill towards the beginning. That's really cool. But that was actually all written after the rest of the song was written, so that was actually added once the full song was written and everything was completed, really. So it's kind of weird how things like that work, but I really dig this song. I think it's one of my favorite songs on the record, and it was a perfect opener. I mean, the intro to that song was just, it screamed out, to be the opening of the album. So I hope everybody digs it.
Cool. All right, addicts, this is it. This is Reverence, When Darkness Calls, and we will be right back with Bryan Holland. Check it out. Kick ass. We are back with Bryan Holland from Reverence. Brother, how you doing?
Good, man. Hope everybody's digging that tune.
Oh, sure they are, man. I'm sure they are. It's great music, great music. Now, when did you first start playing guitar?
Oh, boy. I was probably about 14, and I actually started out on drums before that. And actually, if I even go back further, it was back in the early 70s. I remember seeing Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park on TV, and it changed my life. That's what I wanted to do, you know. And I was still too young. I was probably only 9 or 10 years old back then. And, you know, so I just fell in love with music and listened to the radio and taping songs off the radio stations and stuff. And once I got old enough, then I begged my mom and dad for a drum set. And they were actually really cool enough to track one down that was actually a Ludwig, if I remember right. So it was a decent quality kit, except they got sick and tired of me pounding the crap out of it all the time. And so, you know, we kind of live out in a rural setting, and my dad had a barn, and he's like, you got to move that thing out in the barn, man. I mean, you're driving us crazy with it. So we moved it outside, but the temperature changes would just wreak havoc on the drums. You know, I mean, the heads were always out of tune, and I mean, I had no idea what I was doing anyway. So it just got really, really miserable. And of course, you know, it starts getting cold out. It's like, holy shit, I can't practice because it's freezing out. So I'm like, you know, I kind of abandoned that and just said, hey, you know, is there any way I can trade this thing in for a guitar? I mean, help me out. And my dad, he took it into the music store and traded it in for a Red Lotus Strat. And that was all I did. Because then I could sit inside all the time and play my guitar. And basically I'm self-taught, so I had a guy kind of teach me a few chords, but that was it. And I just sat there in my bedroom for hours and hours on end, day after day, week after week, month after month, just teaching myself how to play guitar, to listen to, you know, all the records that I loved. So that's how I started out, and I was probably about 14 by the time I got the guitar. And so that's a few moons ago.
Yeah. How about the first song you can remember learning to play?
Oh, crying out loud. You know what? I remember this is a stupid song, but it's who did this song? You know, that you ain't seen nothing yet. Down, down. Whoever did that stupid song. I remember having that 45.
Oh,
and
you know, I remember the song too. I can't think of the name.
Yeah, and there was another band called Hocus Pocus. And so, I mean, I remember having the records like that, and I can't believe my mom and dad actually let me have it, but it was Kiss, Dressed to Kill, and it had She on there, and it had some other really great Hard Luck Woman, I think, might have been on Dressed to Kill. But so, I mean, Kiss was always like a big thing for me. So those were some of the first songs I ever started jamming to. And of course, I was relentless because I'm trying to teach myself guitar, so I'm playing this stupid thing over and over and over and over, which, of course, still probably irritated the living shit out of my parents, just not as much as the drums.
So now,
they actually,
go ahead.
They actually put up with quite a bit from me. You know, I got to thank my parents for dealing with that.
Cool. Now, what music do you listen to?
I like all kinds of stuff, man. I mean, I grew up, obviously, in the 70s and 80s as far as musically. So, I mean, I like stuff from America and Hall & Oates to ELO to, you know, Thin Lizzy and The Sweet, Rod Stewart. I grew up on all that kind of music. And so, I mean, I'm not just a metalhead. I like good songs. I mean, the only kind of music I really can't stand is country or rap.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't. Country's such a downer all the time, and all that twangy crap. I just can't get into it. I mean, I hope everybody else loves it that digs that stuff, but it's not for me.
Yeah.
But I really don't listen to anything current. I really hate all the new metal that I hear out there, like Disturbed and Nickelback and all that crap. I mean, there's a few here and there songs that are okay, you know, that I hear on the radio, but in general, I can't tell one band apart from another. You know, I can't tell Godsmack from Disturbed to, I just can't tell, you know. Back in the 80s, you could tell the difference between, you know, the Scorpions and Dokken and Motley, and all those bands had different sounds. They were all different. Yeah. So, I just, maybe I'm stuck in the 80s and I'm an old fart, but that's what I dig. That's what I like. So I really only listen to the stuff I grew up loving still. And, if I listen to new stuff, it might be like, I like the new Primal Fear isn't too bad. I mean, it's still not like the old Primal Fear, stuff like that. But in general, I really don't seek out new music.
Cool. Now, who would you say your influences are?
Guitar-wise, I mentioned Chris Oliva off the air. Chris Oliva and Sabotage were a huge part of my growing up. So, I mean, to be able to be in a band with Doc is really kind of a dream come true because, he was in a band with Chris.
Right.
And Chris being gone now, he's kind of been risen to legendary heights, which he definitely deserves, in my opinion, because he's a fantastic guitar player. But Chris was always really unique to me, and that's one of the things that Pete and I share is our love for Chris's sound and music and style. And so I grew up on him primarily, and Randy Rhoads was a big influence. So you probably hear little bits and pieces of those two kind of guitar player style and Reverence, hopefully. And then probably another one that people wouldn't think of is Rick Emmett. Rick Emmett from Triumph. I loved Triumph growing up. So
cool.
Rick Emmett is he's such a versatile guitar player. He can play jazz and he can play fusion and he can play, metal and he can play rock and country. I mean, the guy is really versatile. He can sing and, he's probably one of the best overall musicians I've ever heard of. And, even classical, the guy can pull out classical like nothing. So, those three guys are probably the biggest influences on me, but you probably won't hear a whole lot of influence from Rick, because I just admire Rick more than anything.
Cool.
Chris and Randy are probably the biggest influences musically on me.
Cool. Now, when you're not writing, touring, recording, what do you do for a day off, man?
I mentioned, I'm a World War II buff, so I like checking out World War II stuff. I got all kinds of books and DVDs and videos, and I'm a big collector of that kind of thing. And I don't know why I'm drawn to it, but I am. And I love going to car shows, old car shows. So during the summertime, we love going out and checking old hot rods. And they got a big air show coming up over in Ypsilanti, Michigan, in a couple of weeks. So I'm going over to that with a buddy of mine, and just because they got probably 20 P-51s that are going to be zooming through the air up there. And that's the kind of thing I dig. And besides hanging out with my family, I got a family. I'm married 18 years and
cool.
2 daughters. So I got a lot of things on my plate besides having a company of my own that I run. So there's a lot going on in my life, but music is a big one.
Cool.
So I got to keep that going too.
Cool, man. Now, what's the most rock star thing that's ever happened to you?
Rock star thing. I don't ever regard myself as that because I'm just a guy that knows how to play guitar that people kind of digs and stuff. So I don't really. It's cool to have your ego stroked and people asking for pictures and autographs and stuff. So that's cool. But probably one of the coolest things is the first time I ever signed an autograph was I just joined Tokyo Blade years ago, and we were over in England to rehearse for a tour, and we were walking down the street in Salisbury, England, and we were the Salisbury in there. They got probably one of the tallest cathedrals in Europe, and we were walking up to just go hang around and check out the cathedral. And these kids come running up, obviously seeing that we're somebody with a bunch of long hair, and so they were asking for autographs and stuff. But I don't think they actually knew we were anybody. We just say, I'll get an autograph and stick it away and sell it on eBay in 30 years. But that was really cool. Another thing was we played on the very last tour with Tokyo Blade. We played in Switzerland, and I remember there was being this young kid. His parents brought their son there, and he was probably 7, 8 years old, and he was just dying to take a picture with the band and hang out with the band and sign some stuff. So that was actually one of the coolest things.
Cool.
I ever kind of did rock starish, but to have a kid really kind of dig it, and I remember seeing him from the stage, and he's got his fists in the air and stuff. It was really cool.
That's cool, man. Now, do you have any Spinal Tap moments you want to talk about?
Oh boy, you know what? I'm always paranoid about gear, like I said, but I never never really had anything terrible happen. I did on the last show, one of the tours we did with Blade. One of my guitars just, I don't know what happened, if I was headbanging too hard or something, but I think the volume pot or something broke inside, so I just had to swap guitars. But really haven't had any real kind of spinal tap stuff, thank God. I'll leave that to somebody else. Knock on wood,
All right. Well, the next song I want to play is "Too Late." Now, you guys just made a video for the song. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, we filmed this video up in Saginaw, and it's actually in an old warehouse, kind of warehouse building that was Civil War era, and it was really kind of, it fit everything we were wanting to do. It's all dilapidated and dusty and shitty and asbestos and lead paint everywhere. And we shot that up in Saginaw, Michigan, and where Todd's from, so he kind of hooked everything up. And we actually shot 3 videos that whole weekend, so we got a lot accomplished. There's actually 2 more videos coming out over the course of the next few months. So this is the first one we did.
Cool.
And I'll never forget all that experience in that nasty environment, because there were like 3 of them, had to haul everything upstairs, and it was a kind of crummy, rainy day out. But I think it turned out pretty good. It was, Todd and his friends and all that came up with a kind of a concept storyline for the album, for the song. And so we just kind of let him do whatever he wanted to do. But this was probably one of the songs that Todd and I wrote, and we really, not that we didn't think we already had something kind of cooking, it was probably the 4th or 5th song we ever wrote. And once we got this one together and Todd wrote his vocal parts and got it back, I'm like, holy crap, I think we got something really good here. So this is it, man. This is Too Late.
Cool. All right, addicts. You heard it from Bryan. This is Too Late from Reverence. Check it out. Okay, addicts, we are back with Bryan Holland from Reverence. Bryan, how you doing?
I am doing great, man. It's awesome to be talking to you on this Saturday evening.
Thanks, man, and appreciate it. And we see you finally made it into the chat room. I apologize for that.
Yeah, wow. You know, I had a little struggle there, but it must be my Mac.
Well, thanks, brother. Thanks. Now you had the new CD out, When Darkness Calls.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that, man. How did all this come about?
Well, you know, like I said, I kind of rebuilt the band once I got out of Tokyo Blade, and you know, we put all the guys together, wrote all the songs, and we finally got the album out just this past, very last day of May. So that's it was just a few weeks ago, really, 5-6 weeks ago that the album hit, and
Cool.
so we're kind of in the middle of this whole, you know, promotion period and trying to push the album and get it out to the masses.
Cool, man. Cool. Now, since When Darkness Calls, have you evolved as a musician since back in the day?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because you know, I don't think you can. The only thing you can do is you know, grow. I mean, if you don't play at all, then you regress. Obviously, you're not pushing yourself. So, without a doubt, I've grown as a musician and getting better. And you know, I think once you get to a certain point, you probably plateau. And it's, you know, with life in general, it kind of gets in the way with, you know, jobs and family and things like that. So it's hard to practice. It's hard to put in the time anymore. So it was really important for me to sit in my bedroom for all those years to get all that stuff down, you know. But I think the cool thing about what we've got with Reverence is, you know, Pete, the other guitar player, he's a smoking shredder. I mean, this guy, he puts me to shame, and I'll willingly admit it. So, I mean, he really actually pushes me quite a bit. So it's actually a really good thing.
Cool.
He would say differently. He would say, "Oh man, you're a really great guitar player too." But in all reality, this guy smokes me. I mean, he plays some amazing solos on the album, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. He's a far better guitar player than myself, and I'm privileged to be in a band with the guy because the guy actually pushes me to be better. So.
Cool. Now, what's your opinion about the metal scene in America these days?
What metal scene? I don't think there is a metal scene, man. You know, not that I don't even go out to shows a whole lot much anymore. I mean, Southwest Michigan, where I'm at, near Kalamazoo, there's, you know, we used to get tours come through here and bands hitting around here all the time, and if they come through here, it's very sparsely, and it's not very well promoted. You know, I mean, I remember when Megadeth came through Grand Rapids several months ago. I mean, I didn't know about it until the day after. I mean, it's just, the scene isn't anything like it used to be, and unfortunately, that's just how it is. You know, with everybody's interest in other directions, whether it's, you know, Xbox or, you know, cell phones and playing games and doing things like that, it's just taking things away from how we grew up. You know,
Right.
When we grew up, I mean, you had to use your imagination, and you just had, you know, music to latch on to and things like that. But it's not like that now. There's so many other distractions that take away from, you know, this is another option for people to spend their time. And it's really hurt the scene quite a bit. I know everything goes around in circles. So, I mean, it's going to go from, you know, metal to, you know, the bubblegum rock in the late 80s with Poison and stuff, and then grunge and then back on around. But, you know, it's taken a big circle to come back around in our lifetime.
Oh, yeah.
And but the cool part is that, you know, for the most part, in Europe and in Asian stuff, that stuff stays really strong because they're not like Americans. Americans, that's one of the cool things about going over there. You get to kind of visit different cultures and see that those folks are a lot different than us. You know, they're way different than us in a lot of respects, as far as our eating habits and things that we do and wastefulness and so on. But they love metal. They still embrace it. They still, you know, are almost still stuck in the 80s and 90s, just like we were, except Americans are so fickle. Right. It's always, you know, like, you know, what's the next thing? You know, it it goes from Madonna to Britney Spears to Justin Bieber to whoever knows, who's next. It's always who's next, and the only ones that really get promoted are the groups or whatever that manage to get some big label behind them to spend millions. Otherwise, you're lost falling through the cracks. So, unfortunately, that's just the way it is, and we just have to live with it and still pursue what we like and what we dig, and don't let that stop us. But fortunately, we still have, being able to go over to Europe and tour and play over there.
Cool. Now, what advice do you have for bands just starting out?
Oh, boy. Don't. No. I mean, if that's really what your passion is, and that's what you love, I don't let anybody stop you. It doesn't have to be music. It could be anything. You could want to be an artist. Don't let somebody tell you don't be an artist. If you want to get into culinary, go into culinary. That's what people love. You do what your passion is. Do what you love and follow it. Because life is short. We see that all the time with the shooting over there near Denver. I mean, these folks just go out to a Batman show and end up dead. So, I mean, you got to live your life and do what you love. Don't do what people tell you. If your family says, oh, you can't make it do it in culinary, tell them to screw you. Screw off and just, go do what you want. Because it's your life. It's what you want, not what other people want. That's important.
Right.
And that's just my motto. I mean, that's what you got to live by, I think. If you listen to other people, you will lose out. And you'll always wish you'd followed that dream. But as far as bands go and starting out, man, you just got to surround yourself with some people that are level-headed, that don't have a bunch of ego. First and foremost, you got to have some good musicians, people that are in it for what you're in it for. They can't be the kind of people that they're only, riding your coattails. You do all the work and they just show up for the gig or whatever, and then they still earn all the credit and get paid just like you do. Everybody's in it together. You got to get that mentality. And then you can't have a bunch of people with egos. And I had that very thing in Tokyo Blade, and it ruined the band. And it just, I won't go into specifics about it, but it was one particular person. And so the one particular person screwed the entire band. The whole band fell apart. And it's unfortunate, but I guess in retrospect, if I look at it, it was painful, it was shitty, it sucked, but, there's stepping stones in life. And
right.
I just try to look at it that was another stepping stone. But I think if you're growing up to do a band, you got to take it serious, and it's not all about partying. You're supposed to have a good time, but, don't let that trump why you're doing it. You've got to remember why you're doing it. And if you're doing it for the love of the music, then keep that foremost.
Cool. Now, one of our DJs, DJ Rem, he's from Matawan, Michigan. He says, greetings.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, he's just probably 20 minutes away. 15, 20 minutes away.
Oh, cool, man, cool. Let's see, what else we got here for you, man? What is the ultimate goal for Reverence?
We didn't set out with a conquer the world kind of goal. We wanted to make some music that we loved and grew up on. That kind of that thing that I described earlier. It's just we didn't hear that out there. There weren't bands out there doing that anymore. And that felt like that was something missing. And I wanted to do that. That's the thing that I loved. I loved that kind of music. And some people like country and some people like rap, and they can do their thing. But we love old school metal, and that's what we wanted to do. And that was the goal from the get-go for Todd and I to build this band. And I think for the most part we've accomplished that. We talked about it, Todd and I, last night in a lengthy phone conversation. I'm already starting to work on the next album.
Oh, cool.
And we're not going to veer from that. I don't want to veer away from that. I mean, to some degree, you almost paint yourself in a corner. You always hear about Jeff Tate kind of whining, oh, yeah, I don't want to do metal anymore. But that's what made him famous.
Right.
And there's ways to, grow within that. I don't think that the metal is such a restricting title that you can't grow within that. I mean, crying out loud, there's various sorts of styles of metal. And I think people were willing to grow with that band within that context. But we don't have any aspirations to conquer the world. We just wanted to make a metal band and go out and present it to the people. Hopefully everybody dug it and be able to go out and play it for folks and go on tour. So that's what our focal point was. But we weren't trying to reinvent the wheel.
Right. Cool. Now, you guys on a label? Are you looking for one?
You know, we were approached by a couple of labels, and you know, labels nowadays. You know, I had my own little label, which is Razor Ice Records, so we put it out on my own little label. And so, I mean, our distribution may not be as far as what other labels may be able to get us, but man, we worked really hard on this album. We worked, you know, and we spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on this album and the artwork and the recordings and all that, and just to simply hand that over to a label that will then only give us back a small percentage, I think is stupid. I think it's ridiculous. And then, I mean, I've been around this business long enough that, you know, all they got to do is they go, yeah, you know, you could actually sell 10,000 copies of the album, and then they tell you only 1,000, and you have no idea because you don't have any bookkeeping, you don't have any records, you don't have anything, and they go, oh yeah, well, it's not doing as good as we thought, you know, and what are you going to do about it?
Right.
There's nothing you can do about it. You just handed over all your hard work, everything that you do, and then they don't give you any support. You know, they do very, very little promotion. You know, crying out loud, my manager and booking agents do more promotion, and the band itself does more promotion than most labels do. And I didn't see the reasonableness, and Todd agreed, you know, in going with a label anymore. I don't think the label thing matters as much as it used to.
Right. Well, now this is going back to talking about the internet. With the internet, you almost don't need those major label deals anymore.
No, absolutely not. You know, we're able to get our album out fairly deeply, you know, out into the public. I mean, obviously we're not getting, you know, we're on BestBuy.com, but we're not getting in the stores. But I think there's a shitload of bands that aren't getting into the stores simply because of the market. I mean, if you look at Best Buy and you go in there, and they used to have rows upon rows upon rows of albums and CDs for sale. If you go in there now, they're like 4 rows, and they're like 4 half rows. So, and in order to be in there on an end cap or something, you have to spend thousands of dollars with no guaranteed sales, no guaranteed promises. You just spend thousands of dollars to get into a location. And, you know, our band isn't big enough to be able to fund that. I mean, obviously, you know, Capitol Records and other labels like that are, they can have that money in deep pockets to be able to do that. So we can't do that. But the internet, without a doubt, has been a huge help for Reverence, and I think and shows like yourself where you've allowed us to come on and kind of connect with folks and spread the word on what we're doing and the music that we're playing is supremely helpful, man. We can't thank you enough.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. Now, you have any upcoming shows you want to talk about?
We are actually working on a tour for the fall, and a Euro tour. Sorry, folks, no U.S. dates for now. We've actually looked at several different offers from the United States, but they're usually crap. And, I mean, unfortunately with our band, like I said, Todd and I are from Michigan, and then Ned's from Florida, from North Carolina, Pete's from Pittsburgh, so we're all over the place. You know, if he offers me $500, it's going to cost me $1,000 to get everybody there.
Right.
So I mean, it's a no-win situation, you know. I mean, yeah, you know, you could spend $500, the difference of the fee there to just get out in front of people, but I mean, how many times can I do that? You know, so I mean, if I did it, it had to be it had to be the kind of gig that it was really worthwhile. You know, it couldn't be some little, you know, 100 people kind of gig. It had to be worthwhile. So, and unfortunately, that's how the music scene is in America. But in Europe, like I stated, you know, we're able to book tour. So for November, we've already got shows scheduled and confirmed dates in Belgium and Switzerland and Germany and Holland and so on. So we've got a lot of other offers from Paris, France, and Eastern Europe, and even the UK. So, I mean, there's a lot of interest in the band. There's a lot of stuff going on. Obviously, doing what we're doing here helps a lot spreading the word, but that's our plan is for the fall of doing a Euro tour.
Cool, man. No, you touched on something about the shows here in America and the cost and whatnot. What's your opinion on the pay-to-play platform?
Well, I mean, that pay-to-play thing's been going on for a long time. So, I mean, not that we're some big, awesome band, but we're not willing to do that. We're not willing to go out and pay a gig or a venue to play there. I mean, I suppose if it was for an enormous, if you're playing with Iron Maiden and it cost me a few bucks to get in front of that many fans and to rub elbows and open for Iron Maiden, I'd consider it. But that's not a kind of a ball game I'm willing to get involved in playing. So, and I mean, the bands that I've been in with, Tokyo Blade and Reverence, even booking these shows, we're not even in a position where we have to do that. So, and we're very fortunate. Don't get me wrong; it's not ego at all. It's I feel that we're very fortunate that we don't have to, because I know a lot of bands do. But we have not found that we've had to put ourselves in that kind of position. Cool.
Now, where can the listeners find Reverence?
I'm sorry?
Where can the listeners find Reverence?
Actually, the cheapest place to get the music and check out a lot of things in the band is our website. ReverenceMetal.com is our website, and it's actually, we've offered the cheapest place for you to get the music, both in downloads and the physical CD. I believe that the CD is $10 plus shipping, and I'm pretty sure that the download album is only $5.99. So you get 11 songs with digital artwork and layout and such for $5.99, man. $6 out the door for the digital, and you've got the new Reverence album. So I think that's obviously cheaper than iTunes and Amazon and Rhapsody, who are all charging probably around $10.
Oh yeah.
By all means, that's the cheapest place to get our music. Always check us out on Facebook, so it's facebook.com/Reverence Metal. And then we've got Reverence Metal, the @ Reverence Metal on Twitter. So you guys can hang out with us over there and say hi and stay up to date on what's going on and what tour dates are coming and so on. But those are probably the best links to go to.
Oh, you're on Reverb Nation too, right?
Yep, we're on Reverb Nation. I think that one's a little different, though. I think it's reverbnation.com/Reverence Official. I think that one's got a little different title.
Cool. Now, the last song I want to play, Bleed For Me. What can you tell us about it?
Well, Todd would probably be the best guy to tell you about what it means, but from my recollection on what Todd was talking about, I don't think he means in such a literal terms that maybe the lyrics would tend to make you think. It's more of about a kind of a relationship, which we tend to shy away from kind of relationship kind of topics, but it just happened to fall that way, I guess, for Todd when he wrote it. But I think it's more having to do with a topic where you just can't do without somebody in your life when you fall in love or whatever, and or to do anything. And it's more of a question to the other person: are you willing to do this? Are you willing to do that? Do you love me? How much do you care? That kind of thing. So I think that's what Todd's point he was trying to cross on Bleed For Me. But for me, I just wanted to come up with a cool riff.
Well, Bryan, I want to thank you for hanging out with me tonight, man. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. I appreciate you letting this on and playing some of our tunes and helping us spread the word. And I know you're not getting paid anything, so that's even more. You're doing it for the love of the metal, just like we are. And, we help each other that way. But I hope your listeners continue to come back and support any of the shows that you guys put over there, and hope they can check us out, too.
Oh, definitely, man. And you and the guys, you're welcome back anytime. Give us an update on what's going on, or talk about the tour, whatever. You guys are more than welcome to come back.
Absolutely, man. I'll talk to Todd, and maybe Todd could drop by sometime and say hi to everybody, and you could hit him up on what some of these songs mean.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool, man. All right, gang. Bryan, once again, thank you, and
thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
We're gonna play Reverence right now.
Everybody. Bye-bye.
This is Bleed For Me. Check it out.